Recording. Yes. Yesterday, we were trying to understand the concept, the ethical aspect of, the practical aspect of Buddhism. That is the development of bodhicitta, right? So, so in Buddhism, there are two things. One is the view, and the other is the practice, right? In terms of the view, the practice of the realization of the emptiness becomes important, right? So in terms of the practice, the cultivation of bodhicitta is necessary, right? So the view and the practice should go together, in order to attain the perfect enlightenment. The view and the practice should go together, right? One should practice both the view and the practice or the method together simultaneously at the same time, right? So um, if we do not practice the bodhicitta and only practice the concept of the realization of emptiness, then that is not going to help us to attain the perfect enlightenment, right? So in order to attain the perfect enlightenment, these both of these, the view and the practice, should go together, right? So the cultivation of bodhicitta, it becomes really important, right? So in order to attain the yanta sangyas, which we call, right? So in order to attain that particular state, the perfect enlightenment, the bodhicitta becomes or becomes the foundation stone, right? Because the foundation of the attainment of the attainment of the perfect enlightenment is is for the sake of all sentient beings, right? So so that particular state of mind depends on the cultivation of bodhicitta, right? So bodhicitta mind is very important, right? Which we call Chanchukisms in Tibetan language, right? So this bodhicitta mind, which is also is compared to a jewel, right? Wish fulfilled jewel, right? So one whosoever has this body mind or the bodhicitta mind becomes a wish fulfilling jewel himself or herself also, right? So the bodhicitta mind is very important. The practice of this particular mind becomes really important, right? So so there are two main ways to cultivate bodhicitta, right? The seven precepts of cause and effect, and the equalizing and exchanging of self and other, right? The seven precepts of cause and effect that we have, discussed yesterday, right? So there are seven steps, which actually aims towards the development of the mind of the bodhicitta, right? So all this, seven precepts, comes in a causal chain, right? So one, the cultivation of one step, causes for the for the cultivation of the next step, right? So first of all, the for the cultivation of the bodhicitta, one tries to cultivate a mind of equanimity, right? One tries to see all sentient beings as equal, right? So what is the purpose of bodhicitta mind? It is the purpose of bodhicitta mind is to help all sentient beings together, by all sentient beings, at the same level, right? So or if we do not see, if we do not perceive all sentient beings as same, so or how is it possible to help them in the same manner, right? So if we see people, if we see sentient beings in different categories, then we will not be able to benefit them in the same level, in the same manner, right? So for example, if we have seven beggars. If there is a there are seven beggars that have come onto our door, right? So then, if we like, okay, this beggar looks beautiful. I like this beggar. I'll give food to you. That beggar doesn't look beautiful, right? I don't like you, so I'm not going to give you any food. That is not the case in terms of the cultivation of bodhicitta, right? Also, in terms of this development of mind, the perception of, of all sentient beings at the same state is important, right? So so the seven precept of cause and effect, the first step is, the development of the equanimity, the attitude of equanimity, right? Similarly, in the next second method, equalizing and exchanging self and others, right? Even in this method, we try to again, develop the equalizing state of mind, right? We try to see all sentient beings in the same manner, right? But what is the difference is that, in the first step, in terms of the first method, that is the seven precept of cause and effect, we try to, see the external sentient beings in an equal manner, right? Among the external sentient beings, right? We do not categorize them in friends, foes, or enemy, or a stranger, right? We try to perceive them in equal state, right? But we try to see them all to be the same sentient beings, right? Same sentient beings who has the continuum of, who has the mental continuum, right? So the way that we have, discussed yesterday, right? So we have discussed, we have given some arguments, right? Since all sentient beings have the same mental continuum, right? Since all sentient beings, because of that mental continuum, it carries the karmic dispositions and the dispositions of the defilements, and because of that, they manifest in different forms, right? But they are not the static. They do not have a static form, right? So we have given different arguments to see, sentient beings as same, right? So in terms of the seven precepts of cause and effect, right? In terms of this, the attitude of equanimity is based on the external sentient beings, right? So, in terms of the second method, that is the equalizing and exchanging self and others, even in this method, we have to cultivate the attitude of seeing all sentient beings as equal, right? But what is the difference? The difference lies, yeah, difference lies up here in the second method. The equality, lies. The perception lies between the equality between the self and the other. We try to, equalize the all the sentient beings with ourselves. We include, ourselves in terms of, perceiving all sentient beings as equal, right? So we are not, separating ourselves from all sentient beings, right? So it is a holistic view, we of all sentient beings, including ourselves, is same as other sentient beings, right? So in the second method, we include ourselves in that category, right? So here we are comparing the experiences of other sentient beings and including ourselves, right? So we include ourselves, our own experiences, right? So on the basis of our own experiences, right? So we try to exchange the experiences of others, right? So so the equalizing and exchanging self and others that originates respectively from Maitreya and Manjushri, and was later taught by Atisha and Shantideva, right? So the seven precepts of cause and effect, mainly there are two main lineages of practices, right? So one of the lineages which is the method of, seven precepts of cause and effect has been, this teaching has been given by Maitreya Buddha, and later, it was taught by Atisha, right, and then later to many other Kadamba teachers and other, other teachers to India as well as to Tibet, right. And equalizing and exchanging self and other, this teaching, this method actually has been taught by Manjushri, and later, Shantideva taught this, and then later, it was propagated in Tibet also, right. So and then later it was separated gradually, right. So so Shantideva, he has, yeah, yesterday I was telling you that the source of, the ethical source of Buddhist teaching, mainly, it based on the text that Shantideva has composed, right? So that is the Bodhichitta Bodhicharya Avatara, right? Right? So that is the text that Shantideva has written, and all the, Buddhist ethical practices basically derives from these texts, right? But that text is also, again, is based on the teachings that Buddha has given, right? That is the ka and the stanchus. So we have two things, right? One is ka, and the second is the stanchus, right? Ka is the oral, the main teaching, the actual teaching of Buddha, and stanchos is the commentaries and the interpretations that has been given, that has been written on the teachings of Buddha by later by different scholars like Shantideva, and then Dharmakirti, and Asanga, Dignaga, and many other, Atisha and Tsongkhapa, and then many other teachers, right. So so that is known as the stanchus, right? Ka and stanchus, right? So we have so many texts in terms of this, which is known as you know we have, Kangyur. This is known as the Poti. In Tibetan language, this is known as Poti, the aggregation of the teaching of the Buddha. Which is known as Poti. It comes in the form of folios, but these days it is also available in book form also, right? So ka and stanchos, right? So the bodhicitta is a spontaneous. So here, what is bodhicitta, right? So what is bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is a spontaneous wish to attain enlightenment, motivated by great compassion for all sentient beings, accompanied by the wisdom of emptiness of inherently existing self. Right. So here the bodhicitta. Now this is the definition of bodhicitta. Right. So what is bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is a spontaneous wish. Is an inspirational attitude, right? It's an inspirational attitude, as in to attain enlightenment, right? And this inspirational wish, this inspirational attitude, or this inspirational mind is motivated by the great compassion towards all sentient beings, right? Including not only towards the people that we like, right? It also includes the people that we don't like, and it expands towards all sentient beings, right? So the bodhicitta is inspirational mind motivated by the great compassion for all sentient beings, right? For To liberate them from all kinds of samsaric suffering, and this inspirational attitude is accompanied by the wisdom of emptiness of inherently existing self, right? So this bodhicitta is, again, it has to be accompanied by the wisdom of emptiness, right? So this becomes the deepest level, or the highest level of, the advanced level of bodhicitta, right? So the advanced level of bodhicitta actually comes accompanied with the wisdom of emptiness, right? Emptiness, which is the realization of the non-existence of inherently existing self, right? So So this particular state of mind, which is accompanied by the wisdom and motivated by the great compassion towards all sentient beings to liberate them from the samsaric world, samsaric suffering, and to inspire enlightenment, right, and to inspire and to wish to attain enlightenment, right, in order to benefit all sentient beings. This is this particular state of mind, this particular attitude, or or the the state of mind is called bodhicitta, right? So the word bodhicitta is a combination of the Sanskrit words bodhi and chitta, right? So bodhicitta actually is a Sanskrit word which is a combination of two, or combination of two words, that is bodhi and chitta, right? So bodhi means awakening or enlightenment, and chitta derives from the Sanskrit root chitta, and it means that which is conscious, right? That is mind or consciousness. Chitta is mind or consciousness, right? So also the bodhicitta may be translated as awakening mind or mind of enlightenment, right? So the bodhicitta is actually the mind of enlightenment, right? So um, so in Tibetan language, Jangchup Gisems, Jangchup Gisems is the word, is the Tibetan word for the awakened mind, right? Jangchup is the enlightenment, the state of enlightenment, and the sense of the mind, right? Jangchup Gisems, right? So the mind of enlightenment or the bodhicitta, right? So this is the general definition of bodhicitta mind, bodhicitta. Um, and there are many levels of kinds of bodhicitta, right? So bodhicitta are of different levels, right? So one can generate bodhicitta without without the realization of the emptiness as also, right? So and one can generate bodhicitta after the realization of the wisdom of emptiness also, right? Or it can happen simultaneously also, right? So it depends on the individual practices, right? So like for example, one who has someone who is a Pratyek Bodhyana or the Shravakayana, right? So the Pratyek Bodhyanas and the Shravakayanas has actually realized the wisdom of emptiness, right? But they have not practiced bodhicitta. Excuse me. Excuse me. But they have not, they practice bodhicitta, right? They do not have that state of mind, right? So when they start practicing, when they come into contact with Buddha or any other teacher who teaches them the bodhicitta mind, then that sort of bodhicitta is advanced level of bodhicitta, because they already have attained the wisdom of emptiness, right? So and their bodhicitta, is accompanied with the wisdom, right? So that is the advanced level of bodhicitta that can be said in this manner. So there are many levels of all kinds of bodhicitta, such as relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta, right? And we have a different, classification of bodhicitta. That is again aspiration of bodhicitta and application of bodhicitta, right? So the relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta in Tibetan language is known as Kunzop Changchup Gesem and Tondam Changchup Gesem, right? So this Kunzap Chandrapism and Tondap Chandrapism is based on the on the realization of the emptiness, right? The bodhicitta, which is developed on the basis of the realization of the emptiness, is the absolute bodhicitta, right? And the aspiration and aspirational bodhicitta and application bodhicitta in Tibetan language, these are called um, Smonpa Samskit and Jukpa Samskit, right? So the most Monbasamski, the aspiration is, when someone actually, aims to develop bodhicitta, in order to attain, enlightenment, and then and to benefit all sentient beings, one has this aspiration, right? One has this wish, in one's mind, right? So that state of, bodhicitta, one intends to, benefit all sentient beings, and in order to benefit all sentient beings, one intends to attain enlightenment, right? So that is the initial, that could be called the initial state of the development of bodhicitta, right? So that is the aspirational at the bodhicitta, and the application of bodhicitta, and the application of bodhicitta, which is the jukpa sanskrit, right? Jukpa means um, bringing them into practices, but to apply those wishes into practice, right? So you are actually walking towards the attainment of Buddhahood in order to, in order to benefit all sentient beings, right? So when one actually has, start, practicing the six paramitas and all the other factors that leads towards the attainment of Buddhahood, that which is again, but again based on the attitude of, benefiting all sentient beings, that actually becomes the application of bodhicitta, right? That is the jukpa sanskrit, small sanskrit and jukpa sanskrit, right? um Gonzop ke Jamchup ke Sims and Tonton ke Jamchup ke Sims, right? So um these are these are the, different, there are other levels of bodhicitta, right? There are other levels of, there are other kinds of, or other explanation of bodhicitta also, or like, the king like bodhicitta, like the way of the king like bodhicitta, right? Or the boardman like bodhicitta, right? Or the shepherd like bodhicitta, right? So these are different levels of, the enlightened mind, the mind of bodhicitta, right? The king like bodhicitta is something like, or when one, this depends on the practice of the individual, right? On the attitude of the individual, right? So how the individual, works towards the benefit of all sentient beings, how his attitude is, how the individual is cultivating his mind, right? So it depends on that particular thing, right? So the king like bodhicitta is something like, the individual, he or she wants, first of all, he sees, oh, if I want to, benefit all sentient beings, then first of all, I need to be attain Buddhahood, right? I need to, need to gain all those knowledges and all those qualities, right? Which can actually benefit all sentient beings, right? So just like a king, in order to, prosper his kingdom, right? He first of all, he himself become prosperous, right? So unless if he himself become powerful, right? Unless he has the power, right? If the king is someone very less power, powerless, as an individual who has no power, then the king will not be able to save his kingdom, right? So first of all, the king, prepares himself, right? He sort of, does all those things that makes him powerful, right? So after become a powerful king, then he will serve his kingdom, right? So similarly, a bodhisattva who, thinks that, okay, I have to endure with all the, powers, all the qualities through which through which I can, you know through which I can serve all the sentient beings, right? So first of all, he strives towards the attainment of enlightenment. He strives towards towards gaining all sorts of, qualities, right? First of all, to himself, right? Like, so that kind of, that way of practicing bodhicitta is like king like, but the way of the king like bodhicitta, right? So king like bodhicitta And the second one is the Bodhiman-like Bodhichitta, right? The Bodhiman-like Bodhichitta is, um, the bodhisattva or the individual who practices bodhicitta, it goes along with all sentient beings, right? He is practicing all the qualities. He's trying to attain all the qualities to attain enlightenment, and during his own practices, right? During the time of attaining all the qualities, right? During the attainment of Buddhahood, right? So in that during that period, he also is taking all other sentient beings together, right, along with himself, right? So just like a boatman, a boatman, when he ferries a passenger from this shore to the other shore of the ocean or the river, he also goes along with the passenger. He does not stay back, right? Or he does not just show the path to the passenger. He goes along with the passenger, right? Similarly, in the same way, um, Bodhiman like Bodhicitta, the Papa individual who practices a Bodhiman like Bodhicitta, he himself, is also working on, he is also practicing the Dharma, right, to benefit all sentient beings. Along with that, he is also showing other sentient beings the path towards enlightenment, right? So he is carrying them along with himself towards the attainment of Buddhahood, right? That attitude, that sort of the practice of bodhicitta is called as the Bodhiman-like bodhicitta, right? Right. So the third, kind of bodhicitta is the sheep heart-like bodhicitta, right? So in these terms, the sheep heart-like bodhicitta is something like the Avalokiteshvara, was initially, when Avalokiteshvara, the Chandrasek, right? So he's known as Chandrasek in Tibetan language. So Avalokiteshvara, he's a bodhisattva who has attained enlightenment, right? So initially, when he has generated the mind of bodhicitta, right? Uh, he said that I will first, lead all the sentient beings towards the attainment of enlightenment, and then I will attain enlightenment, right? Just like a shepherd, sends all the sheep before him, right? He sends all of his cattle before him, and then he himself goes or walks behind all the sheep and animals, right? So similarly, an individual who practices bodhicitta in this way, who thinks that I should send all the sentient beings to enlightenment before I myself attain the enlightenment, right? So that this kind of bodhisattvas actually, delays their own attainment of enlightenment, right? So they stay in the samsaric world, in the cyclic existence, taking the birth again and again, and then they delays their own attainment of enlightenment, and then works towards the benefit of all other sentient beings, right? They cultivate the attitude of sending all other sentient beings to the state of liberation first, and then decides to go after, right? So this kind of the practice of bodhicitta is known as the shepherd-like bodhicitta, right? So these are the differences. These are the levels of the and the the bodhicitta, the practice of the bodhicitta, right? So in terms of the aspiration and the application bodhicitta, Shantideva has written in his text the bodhicharya avatara Chuchuk, something like this, right? Bodhicitta, the awakening mind, in brief, is said to have two steps, right? The bodhicitta, which is the awakening mind, briefly has two aspects, right? So what are those aspects? First, inspiring bodhicitta in intention, then active bodhicitta, that is in practical engagement, right? Just as we have, uh, just as I told you, there are the aspirational bodhicitta, which is in intention, right? The individual aspires or intends towards benefiting all sentient beings, and for that cause, one inspires to attain enlightenment, right? So that the initial stage of inspiring, getting inspired, or aiming towards attending the enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, that is called the aspirational bodhicitta, right? And second one is the active form of bodhicitta, right? The bodhicitta is actually walking towards the attainment of enlightenment, and towards benefiting all sentient beings, right? So in the second level of the bodhicitta, that is the application of bodhicitta, in this one, he actually is applying all his wishes and inspirations and intentions, right? In He is practically engaging with the dharmas, with the paths, right, with the ways that leads towards enlightenment, and that leads towards the benefit of all sentient beings, right? So this is the levels of the bodhicitta, and the differences between the levels, all the kinds of bodhicitta, right? So um, uh, so so in this method of generating the enlightened mind, the cultivation of the attitude of equanimity is necessary in both the methods. But just as I said, like I said previously, that the cultivation of the attitude of equanimity is important. It is necessary in both the methods, right? In both the methods of generating the bodhicitta, right? In both the methods, which are the seven precepts of cause and effect, and equalizing and exchanging self and other. These are two methods, right? Two methods to generate bodhicitta, right? In both of the methods, the cultivation of the attitude of equanimity becomes necessary, right? But there is a distinct way of developing equanimity in both the respective ways, right? So there's a level of difference between the two methods in terms of developing equanimity, right? What is that distinction? What is the difference, right? So the equanimity that comes before recognizing everyone as having been our mothers in the seven precepts of cause and effect, meditation involves visualizing our friend and enemy and stranger, and is the equanimity with which we stop having feelings of attachment and repulsion, right? So in terms of the practice or the development of equanimity, in the first method, is to stop ourselves from having the feelings of attachment towards the people that we love and like, and repulsion or hatring towards the people we do not like, or having an indifferent attitude towards the strangers, towards the neutral people, right? We try to stop having that feeling, or we try to stop having that emotion, and then we try to stop having that attitude, right? So uh, so so one of its name, in fact, is the mere equanimity, right? So in the first method, the equanimity is called mere equanimity, right? Um, Mere equanimity, with which we stop having attachment and repulsion towards friends and innocent strangers, right? Simply, the equanimity is merely based on the external sentient beings, right? Not including ourselves, right? We try to see all the external sentient beings as equal as possible, right? Based on different arguments, right? Based on different realities, right? So the attitude is merely depending on the external sentient beings, then equally perceiving them as equal, right? As same, right? So it is in the first attitude of equanimity, can be named as mere equanimity. some, which is known as some. Simply, merely, it is merely because it is called merely equanimity because it is depending on merely perceiving the external sentient beings as equal, right? So the word mere here implies that a second method exists that entails something further, you know. So the mere also implies um, that and the second method it contains, it entails something further, it implies something else apart from the perception of all the external sentient beings as equal, right? So, what is that thing? Well, what does this mere implies to, right? So, the equanimity that we develop for equalizing and exchanging our attitude towards self and other is not merely the above type of equanimity, right? In the second method, the attitude is not merely the same type of attitude that we develop in the first method, right? So what is it? It is the equanimity with which we have no feelings of close or far in thoughts or actions involved in our benefiting and helping all sentient beings and eliminating their sufferings, right? So in the second one, there is no partiality, right? So there is no discrimination in terms of benefiting and helping all sentient beings in our thought and in our action, right? So this kind of kind of attitude, this kind of feeling is especially distinguished uncommon Mahayana, that is a vast vehicle or way of developing equanimity, right? So the second method especially consists of it is a special method that we developed in the Mahayana tradition, right? So the of course the first is also the second is first is also the Mahayana is also the first is also important, the practice of the development of the equanimity in terms of the first method is also practiced by them, practiced in the Mahayana tradition, but the second one is special in Mahayana Buddha tradition, right? So in the mere equanimity, we do the visualization of the categorization of all people in three persons as friend, enemy, and stranger, and develop the respective feelings of cherishing or love, unpleasant or anger, and neither of the feelings to the latter. Right, to the ones who are neutral, to the ones who are stranger, we neither have the cherishing feeling nor have the unpleasant feeling, right? It's a neutral feeling, right? So in the first one, we categorize all the people, all beings in three categorization, right? In order to perceive all beings equally, one has to stop repulsion from someone we dislike, stopping attachment for someone we like, and stopping indifference towards someone neutral, right? Thus, developing a mind that perceives all beings as equal, right? So this is important. This becomes important to visualize, all sentient beings as as equal as one, right? So there we should not have this, you know, cherishing and unpleasant and neutral, neutral feelings, by classifying all beings into into loved ones, into the ones who hate or who we hate, and into the ones who we do not care, right? So we're not supposed to categorize all things in terms of this categorization, right? So when we stop visualizing this thing, when we stop categorizing beings, then we will develop this attitude of equanimity, right? This perceiving all sentient beings as equal, right? So the difference in difference, the difference. This is this type of, the difference lies in the development of equanimity in an objective manner, in the sense that the attitude of equanimity in the first method is based on the perception of all other beings on equal manner, and in the latter, the attitude is developed on the basis of on oneself and other, right? In the second one, we include ourselves too, right? So in the first one, we have an objective perception of all external sentient beings as equal, and in the second one we include ourselves in that category, right? So including ourselves, all sentient beings, right? So all sentient beings are equally seen, right? So the way to develop uncommon mind equanimity for equalizing and exchanging our attitudes with respect to self and others consists of two levels, right? So the in the uncommon mind, the special way of developing this attitude of this attitude of equanimity, consists of two levels, right? As a relative point of view and deepest point of view, right? So there are two ways to see this, to cultivate this attitude, right? One is the relative point of view, and the other is the deepest point of view, right? So the relative point of view consists of developing the mind depending on the relative points in terms of one's own experience and state with that of others, right? So in this one, we try to, relate our sort of, our experiences, right? So our experiences with that of, with that of uh, others, right? With that, with the experiences of, other sentient beings, right? Uh, so. Uh, so the way to and the development of the attitude of equanimity on the basis of the deepest point of view depends on the realization of the true nature of reality, right? So we actually need to explain these two terms elaborately. There are so many examples that we need to give while while sort of uh, explaining these two things, relative point of view and the deepest point of view, right? So again, relative point of view is relating so many experiences and events from ourselves and with others, right? So and this also, the relating the points of depending on oneself and others also, right? So and on the other side, deepest point of view is again, based on having the realization of the true nature of reality, right? So the grasping, right? So the grasping of being in different manners comes from a confused mind of not realizing the nature of reality, making things appear to us in ways that are not true, right? So therefore, we too need to avoid being partisan and take sides with people out of thinking with confusion that they exist truly in the same category in which we label them, right? So because of our own confused mind, we label, you know, label people in different categories, in different labels, right? We label them as friend, foe, or neutral, or stranger, right? So in terms of the the karmic relationship that appears, right? So in terms of, if someone brings harm to us, we tend to say, oh, this person is my enemy. If someone tends to bring some favor to us, then we say, oh, this person is my friend, right? So someone who is nowhere in the karmic relation, then we say, oh, we don't care about them, right? So they are not related to me in any way, right? So he or she has not given to me anything. He or she has not done anything to me. They are completely neutral, right? So uh, so there are there are different point of and different points, right? So for example, I have given this example before also, like the in terms of the development of the attitude of equally perceiving all sentient beings as same, right? So, like in terms of Buddha, if we take it in terms of Buddha, he has this particular attitude of seeing each and every sentient being on equal terms, as in, if someone is, actually rubbing with, massaging massage oil on the right hand or the right shoulder, and someone is actually, sort of slashing his fleshes or his muscles on the left hand side or the left hand shoulder. Buddha has the same equal level of compassion towards they say towards those individuals, right? One is actually serving sandalwood oil, and the other one is slashing his fleshes with some with an axe or with a knife or something, right? So Buddha has this equal way of perceiving these two, individuals at the same level. He perceives these two sentient beings, out of compassion, equally, right? So he says that, oh, this both of them are, out of ignorance they are doing this. Obviously, if one sentient being is rubbing sandalwood, that is again, or if I do this, I can gain some merit. So there is this grasping of the eye, right? This one sentient being is, you know completely defiled, completely under the control of the grasping of eye, and the other one is completely, of course, it is that individual is bringing harm to him, right? So obviously he is completely under the control of defilements and ignorance. So on the basis of that, Buddha has this compassion, on has this Buddha has this skill, right? It has this power to see them equally, right? Because he has actually seen the reality, he has actually realized the reality, right? So that is very, difficult, of course, to that kind of, that level of attitude. For us, for us common men, it's very difficult for us to practice that kind of attitude, to reach that level of attitude, right? Let alone, seeing to that those kind of people are equally. We cannot even, see our own siblings equally, right? So we have our siblings, but one sibling is giving us money, then the other one is not giving us anything. We have this resentment towards the other who is not giving any money to us, and then we have this loving, relationship with the one who is giving us money, who is favoring us, right? So even in the same house, we live in the same house, and then we have a sibling, but we cannot have the same, we cannot see them, we cannot perceive them at the same level, right? Oh, those are my siblings. Well, in whatever condition they are, whether they are giving us anything or not, we still, let alone seeing all sentient beings, right? We cannot see our siblings equally, right? We cannot love them equally, right? We love one siblings more, and then we love the other one who is not giving us, or is not on our side. We cannot love them equally as to the other one, right? So that is our situation, that is our current condition. On the basis of that, we can see, um, and then there are many other examples, right? So there are many other examples, in the text also, the reality, you know but this is, the development of the attitude of equanimity on the deepest level is something like, the example can be given, when we can actually realize the true nature of things, then, we can see all sentient beings as equally, right? For example, out of ignorance we do so many things, right? So there's an example in the text, especially you will find this example in the precious, words of my teacher, the perfect teacher, right? Kunzala Michalung, right? So you will find in that text also, In this, in that, you will find the example, something like this, there's a Kadampa Geshe, right? So he is going around for alms um, in the village, and then he sees that there is a guy, there's a person, there's an individual person who is holding a baby, right? And then he's eating fish, right? He's eating fish, and he's beating at the same time. He's beating a dog that is trying to, um, that is trying to sort of, take away his food, that is fish, right? Also, this Kalampagesha, he takes pity on this individual person, right? Because he could actually see the reality of the whole picture, right? So he sees that, the person is holding his previous enemy as his child in the present state. The child that the person is holding is his enemy in his previous life, right? And the fish that he is eating is his father in his previous life, right? And because of certain karmic forces, he has reborn in as a fish, and then, these individuals tend to catch the fish, and then he is eating it, right? So this Kadampa he is seeing this whole picture, and then he's, out of compassion, he starts crying, by looking at the picture, but of the condition of the individual, right? How ignorant the individual is, right? So he's ignorant of, he is loving the child he is carrying in his lap, but he's ignorant that the child, was his enemy in his previous life, and then he's eating the fish out of ignorance that the fish was his father in his previous life, right? And then he is beating the dog, who turns out to be his mother in his previous life, right? So this is the situation, when someone, actually realized, when someone attend this, a realization, they can see the whole picture, right? So this compassion, but they develop the level of compassion, is very deep, right? It's very profound, right? So this is the whole situation, this is the whole situation, the that is why it is important to you know to develop, to cultivate the attitude of the mind of bodhicitta, right? Seeing all sentient beings as equally, seeing as, as our mother, and repaying their kindness, remembering their loving kindness, right? And then try to repay their kindness, right? We can, the highest level of repaying their kindness is to show them the right path, to lead them on the right path, to teach them the dharma, right? But that becomes the highest level of repay, highest level of, or the highest way of, repaying their kindness, right? So so this is the whole situation, right? So the deepest level, the development of the attitude of equanimity on the basis of the deepest point of view, depend on the realization of the true nature of reality, right? This Kadampa Geshe is actually, realize the true nature of reality, right? And that's why he could see the entire picture, right? So this is the PT situation of the samsaric sentient beings, right? They do not know what they are, right? So they have this grasping. Oh, this is my child. I am supposed to love this child. I'm supposed to take care of this child, right? But he doesn't know. He is ignorant that he was his enemy in his previous life. Oh, this dog is, taking away my food. He's trying to snatch my food, right? So I'm chewing this away. So he starts, stoning the dog or beating the dog, right? But he's ignorant in that in the previous, he has no knowledge of any rebirth. He has taken rebirth for many countless eons of many countless times. He has taken birth, and in during those countless rebirth, all that particular animal, has mothered her, mother, the individual, right, by that particular animal has become the mother of that person. He's ignorant of that, right, because of unknowing, because of having ignorance, he's not able to understand that thing, right. So this is how it becomes important for us to know, right. So they and then after realizing all sentient beings as our mother, and then remembering their kindness, and then trying to repay their kindness, and then to develop this warmth, loving kindness and compassion, right. And then seeing all sentient beings as equal, and that causes this equanimity, this perception of equality towards all sentient beings actually helps us to develop the mind of bodhicitta, right. So the grasping of being in different manners comes from our confused mind. This is because of our confused mind. The categorization of people as friend, enemy, and strangers is because of this grasping, right? So grasping, and this grasping is again because of our confused mind, because of our ignorant mind, right? Right, of not realizing the true nature of thing or nature of reality, making this appear to us in ways, right. Because of ignorance, it may or makes things appear to us in different ways. Or this person is my friend, this person is enemy, this person is neutral, stranger. It is because of our you know this appearance is because of our own ignorance, right. They're not true. Therefore, we do need to avoid being partisan, this discrimination, this partiality attitude, right. So this attitude needs to be avoided, right. And taking sides with people out of thinking which with confusion, right. So that exists truly in the categories in which we label them, right. So likewise, we yesterday discussed that we uh, sort of tend to perceive people, or if this person is my enemy, that this person is enemy, this person is my enemy for or forever, this person is my enemy always, but that is not the case, right. So the situation changes, and the enemies become friend, and the friend become enemy, right. So but because of our confused mind, because of our ignorant mind, we sort of label them in a permanent manner, right. So that is again because of our ignorant mind. No one exists that way, or we need to work on stopping our grasping for truly established existence, right. So this is only possible once we realize the ultimate nature of the reality, that is the emptiness, right. Empty of the inherently existing self, right. So this is again the deepest level of the point of view to develop equanimity in order to cultivate bodhicitta, right. So I think we do we have time? Yes, I think we can. We have just one slide, so we can finish it, right. um okay. In one of the famous practice, texts, which is practiced in Tibet, in that it says, inspire us to increase others' comfort and joy by thinking that others and we are no different, right? This is the practice of exchanging oneself with others, right? Equalizing oneself with other, right? So we and other are no different, right? No one wishes we and other are different on the basis that no one wishes even the slightest suffering, right. We do not we do not wish any kind of suffering to come to us similarly, nor is ever content with the happiness he or she has, right. So we are not different on the basis that we do not wish any slightest suffering, nor we even content with the happiness that we have, right. So similarly, other sentient beings also wishes no suffering, and they are not content with the happiness that they have, right? So in terms of that, the we and others are no different. There's no difference between us, right? And there is no difference between oneself and others, right? So this is a verse from one of the famous practice texts of Tibet, in which the emphasis has given on the cultivation of the attitude of equalizing and exchanging self and others, on the basis that all beings, including oneself, has the core wish. They have the core wish to attain happiness and wish to get rid of all kinds of suffering. Right. In this regard, all sentient beings, all everyone becomes same and equal. Right. Dalai Lama usually, whenever he gives any talk, he says that all sentient beings, all sentient beings are same or wishing happiness. Even a small insect, even an insect uh, you know, um, insect wishes to attain happiness and avoid suffering, right? So if when we see an insect, if we put our hand in front of it, it sort of squeeze itself, or it contracts its body, right? That is because it doesn't wish any harm to come to it, right? So that is the core wish, and that even a small insect, right? Even a small insect has, right? So on the basis of that, and even an elephant or even a human being, who is completely fully developed, right? So they also has this core wish to attain happiness and on avoiding suffering, right? So in that particular term, each and everyone becomes same and equal, right? Thus, with this first verse, we pray to develop an equal attitude of having no feeling of close or far in our thoughts or actions with respect to bringing about the happiness and eliminating the suffering equally of everyone. Right? This is the case. Such an attitude of equality fulfills the definition of the type of equanimity or equalized attitude with which we concern ourselves here, right? So this is the kind of attitude, right, that we are supposed to develop in terms of this method, right? So we make the firm decision to develop and achieve that attitude, right? So one has to develop this firm decision to develop and achieve this attitude of perceiving all everyone at equal level, right? So with this attitude, uh, we decide, we develop this attitude that I shall stop being partisan, right? I shall stop being partisan to all sentient beings, right? Because all sentient beings are fundamentally same, right? So fundamentally same on the basis that they want happiness, right? Just as I want happiness, they also want happiness. Just as I do not want suffering, they also do not want suffering, right? I shall rid myself of self-jealousy, right? So just as I like to have all sorts of happiness, right? For example, we these days, we have become so self-centered. We cherish ourselves, every time we think about ourselves, and then we do not, we forget about other people's happiness, right? So we cherish ourselves, right? So this self-centered attitude needs to be avoided, right? This self-centered attitude needs to be eliminated, right? So I shall rid myself of self-cherishing. We should cherish others' happiness also, right? So we need to develop this attitude, right? So this attitude doesn't just come just like that. We need to develop this each and every moment, right? Each and every day, like in Buddhism it says that we have attained this human body. It is very precious, and it is very rare to achieve this human body, which is again enjoyed with qualities, eight kind of qualities. There are so many other qualities, especially the eight kind of qualities, and then we are divided of 18 kind of, there are other descriptions of the qualities, that human body is enjoyed, especially the one who has attained such a human body, and meeting with the dharma also, right? So one should cherish that, and then with that cherishing, with that attitude, one also should cherish others, right? So it says that one should not sort of waste this human body, human life, by being by centering on oneself, by becoming self-centered, this self-cherishing, selfishness, being selfish, becoming individualistic and self-centered attitude. These are all very well in terms of Buddhism. These are all trivial things. Because we are not the selfishness, self-centered, self-cherishing, only thinking about oneself is not the way of life, right? So we should think about everyone. That is the thing, right? So I shall rid myself of self-cherishing. I shall make cherishing others my main practice, right? So I should make my main practice to cherish others, right? To make others happy also, to bring happiness to others also, right? That should be my main aim. That should be my main inspiration. That should be my main practice, right? I definitely am capable of exchanging my attitudes regarding self and others, and this wishes should be on the basis of all this. We should develop these attitudes of, oh, I'm capable of exchanging my attitudes regarding self and other. Oh, I can do this. You know, I have the capacity. I should do this, and I can do this. Right. I shall definitely exchange my attitudes regarding self and other. Right. So this is the kind of attitude that we need to develop, in terms of the practice of the method of equalizing and exchanging selves and others, right? So this is the way to cultivate bodhicitta. This is one of the way to cultivate bodhicitta, right? So yesterday and today we have discussed these two particular methods of practicing bodhicitta, right? One is the seven precepts of cause and effect, and the second one is the equalizing and exchanging self with others, right? So these are the two methods through which one uh, tries to cultivate the bodhicitta, right? So in which the main thing is to develop, to cultivate the attitude of and equally seeing all sentient beings as same, right? This becomes important, right? So there are different arguments, different statements that we have seen while trying to understand how to develop this attitude of equanimity, right? So I hope I made some sense. So in terms of question and answer, if we have time, then we can do that also. Yes, am I audible to you guys?
Yes, I want to thank you because I've been thinking about this subject for a lot of time,
Okay,
trying to
sure.
understand from a rational point of view why
Mm.
the selfish attitude should be discarded,
Mm-hmm.
and also in terms of the enlightenment level of, I don't know, for example, practitioners of the not of the Mahayana, no, I mean without the bodhicitta motivation, why some people should apply, for
Uh-huh.
bodhicitta, and how you explain today, it
Uh-huh.
seems to me is because in view of the
Mm-hmm.
great expansion of reality, the last
Mm-hmm.
reality
Mm-hmm.
that is equanimity and that is natural for all sentient beings,
Mm-hmm.
basically selfish attitude, it has not sense.
Uh-huh.
it is
Yes.
it's like a kind of illogical from that point of view,
Yes, it
just
becomes
to
trivial
thinking in
for
oneself.
us. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so that is very different actually. Sorry, um, this it is for analyze very deeply. This I think most of people no understand correctly the Mahayana, because it's more like or the bodhicitta practice, because it's more like to have compassion and be a good person, but it's not
Uh-huh.
just like that.
Yes.
It is very different,
Mm-hmm.
because in that way we can ask, why is necessary to get enlightenment if
Mm-hmm.
there are some Buddhas already,
Exactly.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it is not a matter of to help other sentient beings. It's a matter to recognize that there is no another if there is no me, because the basic reality
Mm-hmm.
is much more than what we think about.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes.
So
Uh,
it's very.
okay.
I really appreciate teacher the class today. Sorry, to me, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's very deep. The class yesterday and today.
Thank you so much. Yes, I try to share, whatever I know, So there are so many other, explanations that we still need to explore, right? So we still need to, because it is just within, within just our hour, within an hour, we cannot explore all those things, right? So we cannot. There are lots of other explanation which still needs to explore, right? But at least we sort of come to know that, oh, there is something like this also, right? That was my main sort of purpose, right? To introduce the basics, right? To introduce the fundamental points, right? I tried to bring those fundamental points and try to explain those, but still we need to read in deep level. So both of you also and me also, I need to understand this on deepest level, right? So for that we need to learn more, right? So thank you that I made some sense today, and it was helping you to to make some understanding. So that is I really appreciate that. And yes, um, okay. So it's 7. So shall we stop, or if you have any time for questions, then we still can take the questions also. If not, then we can end the session. No.
I would like to have to talk more about the maybe with the other students too about this subject. But
Okay.
now I myself, sorry, at least I must left the class, so I don't
Uh-huh.
know if I can continue anyway. Yes,
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure. Okay. Sure. Then we will, we'll see. Tomorrow you are not coming. You are not attending the class, right? So I
yes.
don't know about
Mm-hmm.
other participants. Like I don't know about this, and also she has entered the class very late. So and we do not have any other participants. So I'm not sure tomorrow if we have any class or not. If if anyone is wishing to attend the class, then they please just drop a message on the group, on the WhatsApp group, that then we can have an interactive session or something else, right? So and then will on Monday we will see with we will come up with another topic, and then we'll try to discuss the the next topic, and then we will
What is the
carry on.
subject of the class tomorrow? The topic of tomorrow?
Tomorrow we are supposed to. One second, check the syllabus. Yes, we are supposed to, either the sixth perfection or generating mind for enlightenment. These are the subjects.
Okay.
Yes, we have, we have one is generating mind for enlightenment. Jangsu Choktu Sem Sketpa. This is the Tibetan, translation. That is one point. Second is sixth perfection. Third is three training. That is tapasum. And then we have the four philosophical tenets in Buddhism, and uh, interdependence and non-violence as we in practice. These are the topics that we still need to discuss. So I think we will meet on Monday then. No, just drop a message on WhatsApp group. If you can attend the class, then we will carry on with the class. Otherwise we will carry on the class on from Monday, right?
Okay.
So yes, sure. Okay. Okay then. Uh, and for the rest of the participants, if they want to enter the class tomorrow, we can have an interactive sort of session. No, there we can take questions and then try to discuss certain queries, certain questions. So that is the thing. So okay, then thank you so much for today, and we'll meet on Monday.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, okay,
And
okay,
sorry for entering the class late.
Oh, that's okay. I can understand there are lots of issues. But okay. Dejan, if you have any, if you want to attend our class tomorrow, then we can, carry on with an interactive sort of session. If you have any questions, otherwise, Luis is also not coming. Macrina is also not coming for tomorrow. So maybe, then they have, some work to do. They can only attend the class on Monday. So we'll carry on with the class on Monday onwards.
Okay,
No?
ma'am.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
ma'am.
Okay, sure.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye bye. Take care till then.
Take care.
Thank you,
Okay.
teacher. Bye,
Okay.
Dejan.
Okay.
Bye bye, Luis and
Okay.
Macarena.
Okay.